All right, Sandra, what's it going to take for the Red Stars to take down the Shield winners?
I appreciate Darian so much, but along with some of the things that she's touched on, I'm going to say some thoughts, prayers, and candles. They're also going to need some of that going into this game. Listen, it's tough. Here's the Chicago run that's coming at you.
There were 8 teams that advanced to the NWSL playoffs, expanded postseason this year for the first year ever. The top 8 teams make the postseason. And guys, the quarterfinals are this weekend. What is it going to take for these teams to advance to the semis? So we are going to take you through every single quarterfinal matchup and explain exactly what it's going to take for each team to win. It all kicks off on Friday, November 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Orlando Pride, the Shield winners, hosting the Chicago Red Stars at Inter & Co Stadium. You can watch this match on Prime Video. Darian, what's it going to take for Orlando?
For Orlando, I put 3 points for Orlando. Solid team play defensively. Chicago is a team, I mean, Sandra can go off about this if she wants to, but Chicago is a team that really can make the game ugly. They really can. They sit back into this mid sort of low block and they pick the times to create chaos and hit you on the transition. And I think we've seen teams expose Orlando in that. So they need to be really solid defensively. Anna Morehouse being a wall in the back, helping organize that back line, making sure everybody's staying awake, starting their best 11. We've seen a lot of rotations with Orlando, especially because, they clinched. They're the Shield winners, so we've seen them kind of plug and play players, give players rest. Well, now's go time. They need their best 11, which to me is Adriana, Banda, Marta, Yates, McCutcheon, Angelina, Abello, Strom, Sams, Dyke, and my girl Anna Morehouse in the back. Mm-hmm. And do it for Marta. The last time Orlando made playoffs was in 2017. So they have so much that they want to prove. You have the world's most decorated, best player in the world on your team. Have some pride and do it for, I hate that I just made that.
Have some pride.
I love it.
I can't remember. It's NWSL team names that they get you. But have some pride for her. Show out for Marta. This is a player that's going to throw her entire heart, body, life, and limb on the line to win this game. Everybody needs to match that energy, and I think that they've got this in the bag. But you cannot sleep on Chicago. So making sure that you're staying on defensively, shutting out Mal Swanson, Ali Schlegel. Those are players that can really hurt you in that transition, and I think that they got it.
Darian, I love that you rolled through your best 11, your starting 11 for Orlando. They're not all going to play 90 minutes, right? If Seb Hines starts them. So who's your game changers for Orlando?
Ali Watt. I think she started the last game, looked so strong, got a goal, maybe an assist. I can't remember, but I think she's a player that even if she does start, she's an impact player. Her runs to get in behind, the way that she's grown in her game, I think this year has taught her a lot, and how she combines with players, getting her head up, passing when we used to see her shooting a lot of the time. I think she's grown a lot this year. So she's definitely the player for me that can come in and be a game changer, along with Julie Doyle. Yeah,
good ones.
That's my number one for sure.
I like that shout for Ali Watt. All right, Sandra, what's it going to take for the Red Stars to take down the Shield winners?
I appreciate Darian so much, but along with some of the things that she's touched on, I'm going to say some thoughts, prayers, and candles. They're also going to need some of that going into this game. Listen, it's tough. Here's the Chicago run that's coming at you. It's been tough to watch this team kind of go into the postseason limping a little bit, for lack of a better phrasing. They're going to be without Ludmila. This is a player that provided this team finally in that long stretch of the second half of the season with a bit of unpredictability in terms of the attacking side. So much emphasis and focus has been on Mal Swanson this season, appropriately, because she's an MVP caliber type of player. But now they're not going to have that layer of unpredictability for them going into this postseason. So I'm in agreement in that they're typical game plan. They not only have to stick to that, but they have to execute it well. The tactics have been there all season, and maybe you don't want to go into a postseason at that predictable, but it's something that you have relied on before in the past. So you just have to make sure that you execute that efficiently. So that means obviously big game. You want big games from your stars. You want Alyssa Nair to have a strong game in net, to sort of see that game come to her and kind of control that. You want Mel Swanson to be a factor on the ball, but it's about getting it to her. So while you're sitting in this low block, while you're trying to make things a little bit ugly against a team that also tries to be a little bit patient and wants a little less of the ball, because Orlando doesn't always want the ball. They try to execute their timing. Chicago's going to have to do that as well. So maybe it's going to rely on big games from the sort of players that you look at as not those star players. It's going to be Franklin and Julia Grosso in that midfield to try to maybe connect and control some things. So we'll see how it turns out. It's going to be a tall order though, going up against the number 1 team.
Perhaps some unusual suspects in the midfield for Chicago to change the game for them. That's number 1, Orlando, against number 8, Chicago Red Stars, 8 p.m. on Friday. That match kicks off. Our poll on YouTube has 75% people voting that Orlando is going to win, only 25 going for the Red Stars. According
Sandra,
to
did you vote for the Red Stars?
Hey, I stood out of this voting. I'm not going to lie. That's one I didn't want to participate in.
I remember all of our brackets. We all have Orlando going through this round.
There you go.
We'll see. Okay, the next matchup on the quarterfinal schedule. It is happening Saturday, November 9th at 12 noon Eastern time kickoff. It's number 4 Kansas City Current against number 5 North Carolina Courage. This match in KC at CPKC Stadium. You can watch it on CBS and Paramount Plus. North Carolina is a team that had solidified their 5th place spot in the standings a while ago. They knew that they were going to roll with that 5th place spot and they were going to go on the road no matter what happened. Now is a time where North Carolina has to focus on what they do in this match, specifically with their possession. All season, North Carolina has absolutely dominated, outpossessed every single team. They lead the league with over 83% passing completion, but it's what they do with that possession and how they stay structured against Kansas City that will get them through to the next round. So centrally, no sloppy passes for the Courage, leading to giveaways. They have to have really organized rest defense behind the ball, and they also have to possess quickly with off-ball movement. So centrally, when North Carolina has done well this season with their possession, it's moving down the pitch centrally, kicking it wide with a lot of different interchange, meaning their number 9 drops a little bit deeper, whether it's Caroline or Lucy up top, Manaka a little bit lower centrally, and having a lot of those overlaps with Ashley Sanchez in there, creating just a swirl and a flurry of players that disrupts Kansas City's organization centrally. Last week for North Carolina against Washington Spirit, they got burned in transition against Trinity Rodman. She was able to sit on the back shoulder, get in behind, and it was quick transition that exposed North Carolina's back line. North Carolina has to learn from those mistakes. And it all started for Washington's goal last week with a turnover in the midfield, a quick pass, and then Ashley Hatch dribbling at North Carolina's back line. They can't give space centrally if they lose the ball, because Kansas City is going to hurt you in transition. So it's organization in their possession and their rest defense, making sure that if they get exposed and lose the ball centrally, that Kansas City can't just run with miles and miles of space. It's hard to do when you're going up against the team with 57 goals this year.
Yep.
It's be hard to do to limit them, but if they can do it, it's going to be a pretty big upset. We'll see. All right, Darian, what's it going to take for Kansas City?
Lisa, great points. I feel like somehow I'm always the one that's giving North Carolina the short end of the stick. And Shawnee has always given me crap for it. But you're right. I think North Carolina, they struggle away from home. Kansas City has become a fortress to play at. They sell out every single game. You have a teal man that's shouting at you from behind the net. And the way that North Carolina plays, it's great when they're in possession. It's great when they're in buildup. I do think they can take advantage of Kansas City in that way. The issue is transitional. They have, Kansas City have the leading goal scorer, the Golden Boot, Temwa Shawinga, with 20 goals on the regular season, and she's not slowing down. She's a fully rested Temwa Shawinga. Now, this is my main point. Kansas City have shored up defensively. They've brought in Kayla Sharples, Alana Cook, who have had this great relationship in the back line, two very analytical players that Vlatko has talked at length about how they've organized everything, how they anticipate how to set up and know who their opponent's tendencies are, what their opponent's tendencies are. And they have a stacked midfield. Labonta, Claire Hutton, Debinha, DiBernardo. This is a team that is just stacked and I think extra motivated to get back to the finals, but put it away this year. And who wouldn't want to do it for the storyline? Kansas City at home, the inaugural season at CPKC Stadium, selling out. They have the Golden Boot winner. They have all the motivation to put it past North Carolina and keep winning.
I like that shout. Our poll on YouTube has Kansas City winning 60%, North Carolina 40%. I think people are listening to my argument of what North Carolina could do, given them
that good 40%, Lisa. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, it's better than Orlando and Chicago.
I will say for Kansas City, obviously, if Temwa Shawinga is back and plays at 90, right, even 60 minutes, that's going to be a difference maker for Kansas City. She scored in 13 of her final 14 matches this year. However, if North Carolina Courage can make it past the 60-minute mark against Kansas City, they will have a better chance of winning this game, sending it into penalties. I think that's a little bit of a saving grace for North Carolina as well, because of the 31 goals that Kansas City has conceded this year, 15 of them, so almost half of them, have been conceded in the final 30 minutes of play from the 60th minute on. So Courage, you just got to get to the 60th minute.
Lisa Carlin predicts penalties. You heard it here first.
Yep. Clip it.
Kansas City against North Carolina, Saturday, November 9th at 12 noon Eastern time. We have already talked about two of the matchups for the quarterfinals in the NWSL playoffs. We've got two more matches to get through. Let's kick it off with number 2, Washington Spirit, taking on 7th ranked Bay FC. This match is Sunday, November 10th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. It is in Washington, D.C. at Audi Field, and ABC has the coverage for it. Washington, Sandra, they come in number 2, securing that oh-so-coveted number 2 playoff spot. What's it going to take for Washington?
It's going to take some rotation, because we've seen that from the Spirit. I was hesitant to sort of say whether or not we want to stick with what we've been seeing from them, but I think that's been part of the beauty of this Washington Spirit side. I brought up layers of predictability or versus unpredictability when we were talking about Orlando and Chicago, and something that I really admire about the Spirit is no matter who was at the helm of this team, whether it was Adrian Gonzalez or at this point Jonathan Giraldez to sort of lead this team tactically, these are players that have responded week in, week out to in-game adjustments or shifts, whether we've seen them in kind of a 4-2-3-1 or as recent as like a 4-1-4-1. These are players that believe in each other and the tactics in front of them when they have to go out there and execute. So I'm here for that, for the Spirit. I think they sort of kind of quietly have had one of the most incredible seasons in NWSL. I think there's been appropriately a lot of fixation on Orlando and all of the records that they have set. But this is a team that's going into the postseason with 18 wins of their own. And that is an incredible feat for any team to accomplish within this season in particular. So I'm looking for the game changers in this one. They've been careful to bring back Trinity Rodman. We're seeing her get more extended minutes. What are they going to look like without maybe having her available in certain type of minutes? So I want to see the continuity that we saw them kind of go with in that final game against the Courage. I liked Hirschfeld kind of operating as kind of that lone defensive mid. I think she can really kind of disrupt some things when it comes to Bay FC. I'm going to let Darian talk about how they're going to maybe have some trouble in the midfield there because of what the Spirit are going to present to them. I think it's going to be a tough day for Bay to maybe try to break things down, or at the very least even try to limit some of the attacking prowess of the Spirit, because despite their own kind of rotations and managing of players, they've got such capable talents. I'm keeping an eye on McKenna Morris, especially if they seem to want to rely on her in this postseason as well. She can absolutely bring the noise.
I wouldn't write off Bay. You're an expansion team. You had a rough, very inconsistent first half of the season. You have a little bit more of a chip on your shoulder, a little bit more of the dog in you to come out and take down the Spirit, who have won championships before. They have one of the most stacked teams in the NWSL. And especially because not everyone on the Spirit is fully healthy. We don't know minutes, how training's been looking, blah, blah, blah. You want to come in and make a statement. And for Bay, the key for me, for them to, what's it going to take? It's going to take chemistry on their front line. This front line operates on islands somewhat. Rachel Hill does a lot of the dirty work. Oshwala plays as more of a classic hold-up player 9, not too involved in the build-up. And Kundanaji is the one that's dribbling, constantly gets the most touches out of all three of them. And she's on fire right now. 2 goals, a little trash talking to Paige Nielsen in the last Houston match that went viral everywhere. She's feeling herself. And when you're a forward and you're in the zone, you're looking forward to moments like this to take down a team like Washington Spirit and put some goals past Kingsbury, excuse me. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't think the midfield for Bay is a space to write off. I mean, Tess Bodie leading from the 10, Kiki Pickett has been great defensively, and Dorian Bailey, we've seen her grow into that sort of 8 where she can be defensive and attacking. She just needs to put chances away, and I think she'll get some. But another key for Bay is set pieces. You have Abby Dahlkemper, who is scoring goals off of set pieces. She looks lethal when she's up in the opponent's 18. If they can get corners, they can create some fouls. I think this is a key that they can break the Spirit down. It's not so much in the run of play. I think it's how they get second balls off of these set pieces, off of big transitional moments, and take advantage of it. And I think that's what it's going to take for Bay. Don't write them off. I know the polls are going to sway towards Spirit.
Well, so the polls originally, they were 83% Spirit, 17% Bay. And as you continue to make your argument, Dee, Bay got a couple more votes in there. So it finished 78% towards Washington and Bay.
A whole 5% pool.
Lisa, you teed that up like it was going to be 50-50.
I know.
That's still not
it's
good.
Tough. It's tough going into these postseason. There are some teams that are cooking, and there are some others where we're like, all right, let's see what you got. And BFC's definitely one of those teams.
I have faith in Albertine.
Yeah,
I respect that.
I like that. I like that. He's a full package coach, but postseason is a different beast. So Washington Bay, that match Sunday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. Another huge matchup. Number 3, Gotham FC taking on 6th place Portland Thorns. This match is also on Sunday, November 10th. Kickoff at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Gotham host at Red Bull Arena. This match also on ABC. Portland Thorns, they head into this match the lowest ranked that they've ever been in a postseason. They've never been lower than 3rd, and they're 6th. So they go on the road. They are an underdog. And I think they have an underdog mentality because of the roller coaster up and down season the Thorns have had. However, last week, when Portland took on Angel City, we got to see Morgan Weaver, Christine Sinclair, and Sophia Smith start together for the first time since April, and they were absolutely electric in their 3-0 win over Angel City. All 3 goals coming from those 3 players. They need to build upon that. Continue to work together up top. Feel each other's movements off the ball and understand the spatial awareness. However, for Portland to win against Gotham, they have to stay compact between the lines. Specifically, when you look at last week for Portland, they got so stretched out and gappy between their front line and their midfield line. So often in the attack, it was Weaver, Sinclair, and Smith, and then 10, 15 yards of space before Hina Sugita was making that late run. It worked against Angel City, and Portland was able to capitalize on those moments, but that giant hole between the front line for Portland and the midfield line is not going to stay vacant against Gotham FC. With Neely Martin and Delaney Sheehan sitting in there, Rose Lavelle also popping into the pocket, that space on the pitch is exactly where Gotham hurts other teams. They pick up possession, they switch the point of attack, and they move in transition. So Portland has to shore up the spacing between the lines, and then defensively, they have to give support and help coverage with higher up pressure defensively so it doesn't all fall on the shoulders of Becky Sauerbrunn and Kelly Hubley as the center backs. With this Gotham side, Darian, they're feeling themselves right now.
Listen, I was going to say, you kind of made my argument for Gotham a little bit in that. I mean, how could you not? I think, really, Gotham doesn't have many weaknesses. For me, what it's going to take for Gotham, stick to their game. Do not change at all to go play Portland. Yes, Portland look much stronger with their triple threat up top. You want to do it for Sink. You have this extra motivation, this extra heart in the game to do it for Sinclair. You don't want her to bow out. Gotham experienced this in 2023 with Krieger, but it's just different. This is a team that has such a defined style of play. I think they have to stick to their high press, them regaining possession higher up the pitch with that really aggressive high back line, shutting out Portland, limiting balls over the top. So getting in the face of Portland when they are in possession so that they can't have service into Weaver and Smith, because they're going to look to exploit that entire half that Gotham leaves open when they're not in possession. I don't know if Portland have it in them, especially when you have Gotham's strongest lineup in the front, which is Yasmin Ryan, Esther, and Ella Stevens. In my personal opinion, those are players that can cover ground. They block spaces. They force you into those pressure pockets, into their midfield, and then hit you on transition or lull you to sleep in their possession and then strike. And Gotham are finishing so well right now. I mean, Mandy Freeman scoring bangers on the back and getting assists. Esther is making something out of nothing with a chip and a flick to a brace in her last match. I think this team is hitting their goal scoring stride, their confidence in the front so much that Portland are going to have to alter their game defensively so much that we're not going to see much in their attack. So Gotham, stick to what you're doing. Don't fix it. It ain't broke. I'm pretty sure Gotham's got this one in the bag.
The poll agrees with Darian, 70% for Gotham win, 30% for a Portland win. Gotham against Portland, Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Watch it on ABC.